In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss about pteridophytes, general characters of pteridophytes, classification of pteridophytes, Selaginella, vegetative morphology of Selaginella, root anatomy, stem anatomy, and at the end, stelar system in Selaginella. So let's start. What are pteridophytes? Pteridophytes are vascular plants that do not produce seeds or flowers and reproduces by means of spores. Pteridophytes also called vascular cryptogams. Normally, the term cryptogams belong to that organisms their means of reproduction is hidden. General characters of pteridophytes. Habitat. The pteridophytes grow in a variety of habitats. Most pteridophytes are terrestrial and grow well in abundant moisture and shade, while some flourish in open, dry, and xeric conditions. A few are aquatic, while still others are epiphytic. Plant body. The dominant phase is sporophyte. The plant body has two roots, stem, and leaves. Roots. The root system is always adventitious. Stem. The stem is either underground or aerial. Leaves. The leaves may be microphylls or megaphylls. Vascular tissues. The sporophyte of pteridophytes is characterized by the evolution of two general types of conducting tissues, the xylem and phloem. It is believed that xylem and phloem have been evolved from the columella of Anthoceros sporophyte. The vascular elements develop from a column of meristematic tissue called vascular cambium. Reproduction. The sporophyte reproduces by the formation of spores, and the spores are produced in sporangia, and this is asexual reproduction. The spores on germination give rise to haploid gametophyte. The gametophyte reproduces sexually. Life cycle. The life cycle of pteridophytes involves alternation of generation. This means that diploid sporophyte alternates with haploid gametophyte. Sexuality of gametophyte. Sexuality of pteridophyte gametophyte includes monoecious. Monoecious means each individual gametophyte produces either antheridia or archegonia. But dioecious means each individual gametophyte produces both antheridia and archegonia. Protandrous. Protandrous means antheridia mature before archegonia. It's mean male first, then female. But protogynous mean archegonia mature before antheridia. Female first, then male. Classification of pteridophytes. Pteridophytes have been divided into four major divisions. The first one is Xylophyta or Xylopsida. The second one is Microphyllophyta or Lycopsida. The third one is Arthrophyta or Sphenopsida. And the fourth one is Pteridophyta or Pteropsida. Selaginella. Selaginella is a member of Lycopsida. Selaginella, commonly known as club moss or spike moss. It is abundant in tropical regions, growing on the grounds in damp or shady places. But the certain species are xerophytic. Most commonly found and widely studied species is Selaginella craussiana. Vegetative morphology. The plant body is sporophyte and differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. Root. The root of young sporophyte is primary root, whereas all other roots are adventitious. The adventitious roots occurs at the tips of rhizophores. Stem. The stem is green, aerial, horizontally creeping on substratum with short, erect branches. These branches are arranged dichotomously or in pseudo-monopodial manner depending upon the species. Rhizophores, leafless and colorless branches that arise from the prostrate stem and grow downwards and bear a group of adventitious roots at their tip. They are called rhizophores. Leaves. The leaves are small or single-veined and called microphyls. The leaves may be similar in size and called isophilous, or two different sizes and called anisophilous. The anisophilous leaves are borne in pairs. The smaller leaf of each pair is inserted on the dorsal side, and the larger leaf is inserted on the ventral side. Ligule. Ligule is a small membranous outgrowth on the adexal side of the leaf near the base. It is considered as vestigial organ. However, some believe that it is water excreting or water absorbing structure that keep the leaf moist. This diagram is showing all the body parts, vegetative body parts of the Selaginella, which includes stem, roots, rhizophores, leaves, and structure of leaf, which include a single midrib and a ligule. This diagram is showing the root anatomy of Selaginella. The root is bounded by a single layered epidermis, which is covered by a thin layer of cuticle. Root hairs arise from epidermal cells. Beneath the epidermis, there is a wide zone of cortex. It is differentiated into outer hypodermis, composed of sclerenchymatous cells, and inner thin-walled region. The innermost layer of cortex is endodermis. It is usually inconspicuous. Next to endodermis is single-layered pericycle that surrounds the vascular tissues. The stele is protostele. Xylem occupies the center while the phloem surrounds it. This diagram is showing the stem anatomy of Selaginella. The outermost layer is one cell thick epidermis. It is formed of thin walled rectangular cells. It is covered with thin cuticle. Beneath the epidermis many layered cortex is present. The outer 2 to 4 layers of cortex are formed of thick-walled sclerenchyma cells and known as hypodermis. Below it, the cortex is made up of thin-walled parenchyma cells containing chloroplast. These cells enclose small intercellular spaces. The cortex and central tissue is connected by radially elongated endodermal cells called trabeculae. They contain Casparian strips, thus the trabeculae are modified endodermal cells. Next to the trabeculae, there is a single layered pericycle that surrounds the vascular tissue. The stele is protostele, xylem occupies the center while the phloem surrounds it. Stellar system of Selaginella. Pericycle. The stele comprises of single-layered pericycle formed of thin-walled cells encircling the vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. Phloem. Next to pericycle is phloem composed of sieve cells and phloem parenchyma. Companion cells are absent. Phloem surrounds the xylem completely. Xylem. Xylem occupies the center of the stem. The xylem consists of protoxylem and metaxylem, which are composed of tracheids and xylem parenchyma cells. The vessels and fibers are absent.